Hello, welcome to day 26 of our journey of 96 days, 4 Gospels, 89 chapters. We are reading Luke's Gospel today. Today, as we do this, as this goes live, we're on Mothering Sunday, so I hope that you're having a special day and that we remember all those who care for us. And really good to be reading our Luke story, our Gospel of Luke. We've had Jesus and John the Baptist both beginning their life. We heard about how they were born, how they were foretold, and how they began their ministries. Jesus began his ministry in Nazareth yesterday after being tempted in the wilderness, and everything didn't really go smooth. Well, I guess it was all as he expected, but people certainly got they got quite hot under the collar, didn't they, yesterday, and tried to throw him off a cliff because of what he was doing in Nazareth. But then he went and healed people and met people, and we're going to find out what happens next in his ministry. We're in Luke chapter 5. Jesus was standing on the shore of Lake Gennesaret, teaching the people as they crowded around him to hear God's message. Near the shore he saw 2 boats left there by some fishermen who had gone to wash their nets. Jesus got into the boat that belonged to Simon and asked him to row it out a little way from the shore. Then Jesus sat down in the boat to teach the crowd. When Jesus had finished speaking, he told Simon, "Row the boat out into the deep water and let your nets down to catch some fish." "Master," Simon said, "we've worked all night long and have not caught a thing, but if you tell me to, I will let the nets down." They did it and caught so many fish that the nets began ripping apart. Then they signaled for their partners in the other boat to come and help them. The men came, and together they filled the 2 boats so full that they began to sink. When Simon Peter saw this happen, he knelt down in front of Jesus and said, "Lord, don't come near me. I am a sinner." Peter and everyone with him was completely surprised at all the fish they'd caught. His partners, James and John, the sons of Zebedee, were surprised too. Jesus told Simon, "Don't be afraid. From now on you will bring in people instead of fish." The men pulled their boats up on the shore. Then they left everything and went with Jesus. Jesus came to a town where there was a man who had leprosy. When the man saw Jesus, he knelt down to the ground in front of Jesus and begged, "Lord, you have the power to make me well if you want to." Jesus put his hand on him and said, "I want to. Now you are well." At once the man's leprosy disappeared. Jesus told him, "Don't tell anyone about this, but go and show yourself to the priest. Offer the gift to the priest, just as Moses commanded, and everyone will know that you've been healed." News about Jesus kept spreading. Large crowds came to listen to him teach and to be healed of their diseases, but Jesus would often go to some place where he could be alone and pray. One day, some Pharisees and experts in the law of Moses sat listening to Jesus teach. They had come from every village in Galilee and Judea, from Jerusalem. God had given Jesus the power to heal the sick, and some people came carrying a crippled man on a mat. They tried to take him inside the house and put him in front of Jesus, but because of the crowd, they could not get him to Jesus. So they went up on the roof, where they removed some tiles and let the mat down in the middle of the room. When Jesus saw how much faith they had, he said to the crippled man, "My friend, your sins are forgiven." The Pharisees and the experts began arguing. Jesus must think he's God. Only God can forgive sins. Jesus knew what they were thinking, and he said, "Why are you thinking that? Is it easier for me to say to this crippled man that his sins are forgiven, or to tell him to get up and walk? But now you will see that the Son of Man has the right to forgive sins here on earth." Jesus said then to the man, "Get up, pick up your mat, and walk home." At once the man stood up in front of everyone. He picked up his mat and went home, giving thanks to God. Everyone was amazed and praised God. What they saw surprised them, and they said, "We have seen a great miracle today." Later, Jesus went out and saw a tax collector named Levi sitting at the place for paying taxes. Jesus said to him, "Come with me." Levi left everything and went with Jesus. In his home, Levi gave a big dinner for Jesus. Many tax collectors and other guests were also there. The Pharisees and some of their teachers of the law of Moses grumbled to Jesus' disciples, "Why do you eat and drink with those tax collectors and other sinners?" Jesus answered, "Healthy people don't need a doctor, but sick people do. I didn't come to invite good people to turn to God. I came to invite sinners." Some people said to Jesus, John's followers often pray and go without eating, and so do the followers of the Pharisees, but your disciples never go without eating or drinking." Jesus told them, "The friends of a bridegroom don't go without eating while he is still with them, but the time will come when he will be taken from them, then they will go without eating." Jesus then told them these sayings: "No one uses a new piece of cloth to patch old clothes. The patch would shrink and the hole become even bigger. No one pours new wine into old wineskins. The new wine would swell and burst the old skins. Then the wine would be lost and the skins would be ruined. New wine must be put into new wineskins. No one wants new wine after drinking old wine. They say, the old wine is better." So Jesus really does begin to cause a stir. He's healing people, he's calling people, and the people he's calling aren't the people that they're expecting to be called. These are fishermen and tax collectors, not the Pharisees and those who know the law and follow the religious way of life. And the people who follow the religious way of life are becoming rather, well, unsure about what's going on. It still, though, doesn't feel quite as tense as it did in John's Gospel, where there was a lot of unrest and a lot of confusion and a lot of argument and disagreement, even by this stage in the story. But still, it's lovely the way, I think it's really lovely the way that Luke tells the story. So we get the story of people, we get the story of the way that things are happening, and this sort of undercurrent of this sort of, well, unrest that's beginning to bubble under the surface, and yeah, lots and lots of excitement building to what we know is a good story and a good climax that is to come. But we're going to hear more of what Jesus does in his ministry tomorrow. So come along and find out what happens next in the story of Luke's Gospel. Our 89 chapters, 4 Gospels in 96 days. I'll see you tomorrow. All the very best. God bless. Bye bye.